Welcome to My Spoonie Sisters, featuring stories from special guests dedicated to empowering those with chronic illness. Our goal? To connect people and provide the support and tools they need to live a better life. For those with chronic illness, our energy levels just fade faster. We must be more purposeful with the spoons allotted to us. So grab your coffee or tea, sister, and tune in as My Spoonie Sisters share stories of living with chronic illness. Hi, my Spoonie Sisters. I'm your host, Gracefully Jen, and I'm so excited to have one of my dear friends finally back in the States. Welcome, Angelic. How are you?
I'm doing so good. Thanks, Jen. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm just so glad to see you.
Likewise.
All right. What I wanted to bring you on today, and we were just talking about this, is traveling with chronic illness. How did all of that go for you? And well, I'll ask you more questions to go with that in a minute, but how well did it go for you?
It went pretty good. It went pretty well for me, actually. This time I was a little bit more prepared because as being a part of the Spoonie community, now I've gained a lot of knowledge and a lot of great tips on things that are very useful in terms of traveling, especially by plane. So yeah, it went really smooth. It's a little hard, those long hauls. It was about a 10.5 hour flight straight to London. Excuse me. But I think the main thing for me was to stretch and, move my joints every now and then. It was an overnight, so it was good that I was able to get the rest that I needed as well. So I was able to do that. So yeah, it went really smooth.
So how do you find it works for you trying to sleep on a plane? Is that hard for you or are you pretty used to it?
It depends. Usually in economy, it's a little struggle. It's a little struggle. I have a great neck pillow, and I bought one of those great little footrest things you see on Amazon. It's like it goes around the table that comes out in front of you, and it goes around that, and you can put your feet on it, and it's great because that is as little as the lift is or can be. It makes a huge difference in your comfort. So that's a definite tool that I highly recommend for long haul travels. Or even domestic flights, but I was able to upgrade to premium. So I had a little bit more room to spread out a bit. And, thankfully it was a fairly empty flight. So I had, the next seat available to me. So I had plenty of space and, comfort as well. So it worked out pretty good.
How many connections did you have?
None. It was direct. I always go direct. I hate connections. Don't you?
I do. We avoid them now. Now that we live next to a big city with a great airport, we skip it. We skip it.
Yeah. I always go direct. Yeah. I go from San Francisco to London.
How long of a flight is that?
It's 10.5 hours going there and 11 coming back.
That's actually not as bad as I would expect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It gets easier and easier.
Yeah, because going from here to Hawaii is like 5.5, almost 6 hours.
Yeah.
So that's not bad. Okay, Now I can tell my husband it's not that bad. We can do this.
And if you want, you can connect her through New York or whatever, but I like to just get there. It's a long day, and in terms of jet lag, it helps with the jet lag on the other side.
So while you were there, you also did a little bit of side tripping. Where all did you go?
Yeah, we went to Portugal. We went down to Lisbon to check out the city. I mean, my husband's been there a few times, but he wanted to show me because he knew I would just love it. And he was so right. I absolutely love that city. So it was about a 2.5 hour flight from London. And that was nice. fairly quick as compared to a 10.5 hour flight. So yeah, it was great. Once you're in Europe, I mean, you can just get anywhere in a couple hours. Go down to Spain, you go to Germany. It's really easy to get and cheaper. Pretty cheap to get around. So yeah, it went really well. I had all the things that I needed. I think a lot now that I plan ahead in terms of what I'm packing, what I make sure I have with me and things like that. I think that's really important when you're traveling with chronic illness is that, you make sure to have, like, say, a pain reliever with you. Of course, your meds, you don't want to check them in. You want to keep them with you in case your luggage gets, left behind or something. And, things like compression socks. We were just talking about compression socks. And those are very important, of course, to have, especially on long haul flights. And what else? My eye mask. I have to have my eye mask. So that's a great thing to have as well. And it helps keep me asleep. Of course, that light can really be effective on your sleep. So an eye mask for sure. So all these kinds of things, I always make sure that I have with me at all times when I'm traveling.
Those are really useful things to have. So do you watch movies while you're flying?
Overnight, no. On an overnight flight, I usually just have dinner and then go straight to sleep because it's a little hard for me to sleep. Even in premium. So I really make sure I try and get as many hours as I can to alleviate the jet lag on the other side. But when coming back, all the flights are during the day, and that's the hardest one for me. Usually people have more jet lag going east, but when it's harder for me coming back west. And I think it's for that reason. It's because it's a day flight. And it's daylight the whole time. My body knows that. Our bodies are in tune with that sunlight. So it's like, even with my eye mask and everything I have, it's still a little difficult for me to rest well. So I struggle a little bit. It takes me about a week to get over the jet lag.
Oh, wow. Is
Yeah.
there anything that helps you with getting over the jet lag?
I think trying to stay up and trying to stay with the current time zone is the hardest part because I'm so tired. But it's important to try and stay up as late as you can so that your body acclimates to the time a little bit easier. But sometimes I just pass out. I just can't help it, because it's so tiring. But that's what helps for the most part is trying to do that.
Okay, so when you're packing, I mean, obviously, you can't take everything on as a carry-on. What would be the
Right.
most important things that you must have accessible for you?
My eye mask. My eye mask. For one, also my footrest. If not on premium or upper class, you have to have that footrest because it really does make a difference in comfort. And water. I have to have my big thing of water. I get it before I get on the plane because sometimes, it's not really easily accessible. They give you a little bottle, but I'd like to have my big bottle because it's such a long flight that I can take a swig every 30 minutes, when I'm awake, to stay hydrated because that's so very important. As you know, hydration is a big part of travel and just making sure that you're, it's just overall wellness, really. So, yeah. So those are the three things I would say: the footrest, my eye mask, and a big jug of water.
Calling all Spoonies. As a host of a chronic illness podcast, nothing lights up my day more than hearing from you, our incredible listeners. Whether it's a topic close to your heart that you want us to uncover, or you are keen to show your own journey as a guest on our show, Your voice matters. Living with chronic illness can often feel isolating, but through the power of podcasting, we can come together as a community to uplift, educate, and inspire one another. Your stories, insights, and questions drive the conversations we have and the topics we explore. So if there's something on your mind, a story that you are just itching to share, or a guest you'd love to hear from, don't hesitate to reach out. Your voice is not only welcomed here, but celebrated. Let's continue to amplify the voices of those living with chronic illnesses and create a space where everyone feels heard, supported, and empowered. Together, we are stronger.
Well, and I don't know about you, but comfort is such a struggle when you're flying, right? And so all the stretching, like
Mm-hmm.
you've talked about, and I'll
Yeah.
even bring things like I have this extra little charging thing. Oh, what are they called? That I attach to my phone in case it's
Oh, yeah.
dying, yeah, because my luck is I'm gonna get the one plane that doesn't have a charging port, right?
Right.
I
There's a
like
lot of
to
airlines out
listen.
there that don't. Right.
Yeah, and I like to listen to music or podcasts or whatever I can. I like the
Right.
distraction and the
Yeah.
quiet, and like you, I like something to sip on. My husband and I, our carry-on bags are always full of snacks.
Oh, yeah. Gotta
Lots and
have
lots of
snacks for
snacks.
sure.
Oh, I have all my bags of the different freeze-dried fruits. I always have to have
Yeah.
those. I can never get enough. And ginger chews for me, in case my stomach
Yes,
gets
I love ginger
queasy.
chews.
Yes. Do you have a
Yes.
favorite flavor?
No, just the original ginger chews. I love them.
I love them too. When I was in Hawaii, I picked up a couple other flavors, and I've had them before, but I got an orange and a mango, and but oh my
Ooh.
gosh, they're so good. I mean, sometimes I want
Wait.
them just because I don't even have a weak stomach that day. I just really am craving a ginger chew.
Yeah. Yeah, those are great to have for sure. Absolutely. I forget about ginger chews. I used to carry them all the time with me, but now I don't know. I just haven't been grabbing any, but that's a good idea. I need to have a little bag of those in my bag as well. But what I normally do too is I get a I'll get a salad or something, a protein mix, little bowl or something from one of the delis at the airport, something a little bit more substantial than because I hate airplane food. So I always grab something
Hmm.
else for dinner that I can have on the plane, and because the airport food, oh my God, it's so much full of sodium and all that other stuff. It's like, and then they want to stuff you with cheese and bread, and it's like, yeah. So that's another thing that I do. I really like to just pick up my own little meals before I get on the flight.
Yeah, and it's like I don't need stomach problems on top of all this. No, thank you.
Exactly.
Not in a
Exactly.
tiny little airplane bathroom. Ugh.
Yeah. I know, it's the worst.
I feel
It's
bad
the
enough for people
worst.
that have to change diapers and stuff like that. I can't even imagine having to do that.
Right. Oh my gosh. That's a lot.
My husband always gets the really chatty people, and he always gets the little old lady, the kind of person that's like, "Want some gum? Want some gum? I got juicy
Yeah.
fruit. I got this kind over here. Oh, and I have this one, and I have this one, and I have this. Are you sure you don't want some gum? Are you sure? Here, take some gum."
Oh my gosh.
And I keep telling
Luckily,
him,
I
if you
don't
get
get
people
those
like
chatty
that,
people.
just take the gum. Just take it. Pretend you want
Yeah.
it. Pretend you put it in your mouth. Just do whatever you can. Take the dang gum.
Right. No, I think
I
that's
always get the people that
that's
just
another
fall
good thing
asleep.
of the eye mask. I think that's another good of the eye mask. You just put that on, and they know that you're like, okay, don't disturb, kind of.
Yeah, just leave this person alone. They want left alone.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your trip. What was some of your favorite activities that you did?
Um, I was just so happy to be back at home with my husband. We were just focusing on just being together at home. And my stepson came in from Rome a few times to visit and hang out with us. And that was really special for me. We just go down to the park, go down to London Fields, just have a picnic. There were a couple of block parties and just being together. It was just so nice to be back with my family and enjoying the time. And that was, all I really wanted. The Portugal trip was nice. My husband likes to get away every now and then. Excuse me. So we head down there for a few days, and then um, that was an amazing trip. I mean, I absolutely loved the city there. It was quite hilly, so it was a little intimidating in terms of my RA. Even though I am making progression, it was a little just discouraging, but I did what I could. And my husband was very mindful about it. So that was really nice. And then we stuck to just really flat ground activity things to do, going down to the Docklands and having a nice lunch on the marina there, watching the people go by and the boats and everything. And it was just really nice, just nothing crazy, nothing more really adventurous, but just being in the culture and just, you know, um, meeting new people, meeting the Portuguese people, and just so friendly and welcoming and making connections. And of course, the food. Oh my gosh, we could not get enough of sardines. And then they have this dessert that they have with their breakfast, their coffee, their morning coffee, pastel de nata. Oh my gosh, I'd have those every morning. And our Airbnb just across the street was a market, a beautiful little market, and they'd make a homemade pastel de natas, and I'd go over there every morning and grab a few for our coffee, and they were just so good. I think I probably gained like 10 pounds on that little trip, but it was so fun. And we didn't care. We just enjoyed it. We embraced just being together, and just being happy. So yeah, it was just an amazing time back at home in London. I do miss it. I didn't realize how much I missed it, right? It's just like, I love being here in San Diego. I love my home here, but without my husband, it's not home. My home is where he is. And so that was really special to me. And I'm looking forward to getting back.
I think that is just such a wonderful thing. And I enjoyed seeing your photos every day. I looked forward to it. And you might have not been
Oh,
sharing pictures of your family, but that's okay. Sometimes we need that private time and the privacy of it so we can just sit in it and enjoy it. But getting to see all the beautiful scenery and the places you guys were walking, I loved it because, first of all, I've never been to either country. And so getting to watch you just dive in there and enjoy yourself, and oh my gosh, how did your body handle all of this? Did you flare up at all? How did it go?
I had little flares with my feet from time to time, but nothing that would really keep me in bed. So I'm very grateful for that. I was still able to function. I was still able to go out and do some walking, see some other places. So I'm very grateful that there haven't been any major flares for me in the last few months. So I'm really thinking that my current treatments are helping and hopefully propelling me into remission soon. I don't know. We'll see. I see my rheumatologist next month, so I'm crossing my fingers and maybe thinking that we might be able to start weaning myself off the medications. We'll see.
I'm so excited for you. And just keep me posted. I
Thanks.
cannot wait to see what's going on. Of course, this episode might air after you've already found out, but that's okay. We can let people know.
Yeah, for
Or we'll
sure.
bring
Thank
you
you.
on again.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm trying to think. What else could we share with people? It's been a
Yeah,
while.
I think traveling with chronic illness, it can be intimidating, can be discouraging, but I would say to your listeners that, it's really important to try and let go of that, what those stories you're telling yourself about travel, and just go for it. There's always ways that you can get out there. It doesn't have to be a long haul flight, but try and go see a friend in another city. Take the help that is there for you. There's wheelchair, access at all airports. You can call ahead, arrange that. Let go of that fear of travel. If you're able to get up and go, by all means, go for it, and just open your mind to the idea that you can do it, because you can, and there are people there to help you, and there are ways to move through, security and other things like that. It's not going to be as crazy as you might think. So I would just say, keep your mind open to that, and don't give into that fear of travel. Whether it's a road trip, even, there's you can take breaks. There's ways that you can move, even in the car, even on the plane. I move my joints around. I make sure that I'm constantly moving my wrists, my feet, my toes, my fingers, whatever it is. We got to keep moving our joints, and keep that blood flowing, stay hydrated. But yeah, I really encourage you to just get out and see a little bit of a place where you haven't been, or just a place that you haven't been in a long time, that you might want to revisit. Get out there, be adventurous, and don't be afraid to do it.
Absolutely. And there's always some way that we can adapt and make it work for ourselves.
Right.
And, whether it be, improve your luggage. That's one thing that was really big. My husband, he said, you know what, with what goes on with you, Jenny, I want you to feel your best, and I want travel to be feasible. And so he really worked on finding us better luggage, something that rolls super easy for me.
Right.
The luggage itself being lightweight,
Yes.
and honestly, I don't like to travel by myself very often. And when I do, I keep it simple.
Yeah.
Nothing that I have to worry about lifting and putting above my head.
Right. That is so important. And I'm glad that you said that, because I just recently changed my luggage too, for that very reason. Something lighter, easy to roll. Oh my gosh, it makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be expensive either. You
Right.
just need to, even if it's Amazon, check the reviews. I always look for something where
Hmm.
there's, thousands of people that love something. And I'll scroll down, I'll look at the pictures, I'll look at the videos, I look at everything that people have to say. And if it all looks great and there's only maybe one complaint, I'm definitely going to try it out.
Yeah, for sure. And that's exactly where I got mine. I seem to get
That
everything on Amazon lately, but yeah, and I love it. It's my little carry-on, and it's easy to roll. It rolls everywhere, just really smoothly, and it's so lightweight. Of course, I have to do a check-in sometimes, because I carry my syringes with me for my injection. So that's a little tough, because I like to just go on carry on, but I can't obviously take my syringes on a carry on. So those I got to check in, but yeah, having the right kind of luggage is so important and so helpful in the ease of travel. And I would also say to arrive early. I always arrive a little bit early, just so I can decompress, because traveling can bring up some anxiety. I get it. I get a little bit myself, when you don't want to forget anything, you want to make sure this and that and the other thing. I always make sure to get to the airport where I can decompress, just take a seat, have a cup of coffee or whatever, and read my book, and just calm the nervous system down a little bit, chat with somebody maybe, or um, so that is really helpful for me too, is that I have that time to just settle down and calm the nerves.
I agree with you. And my husband and I think we're a little bit of control freaks. And
Mm,
and so we like to get there super early in case anything goes wrong. We have to park our car in a long-term parking lot if you're going to be gone for so long.
mm-hmm.
And so like example, when we went to Hawaii, we had to park our car and then we had to catch the little bus that takes us to the airport. And then, you have to go through the whole process. And, we've got our TSA pre-approval. That makes everything faster.
Yeah.
But still, you want to prepare for anything that could go wrong. And if you limit yourself on time, that's going to bring out those nerves, that anxiety, and then you're getting on an airplane feeling all gross. Nobody wants that.
Right. All right. Exactly.
And so, like you said, I want to get there early. I want to go peruse a magazine in the little shop or whatever and just sit down and relax, take a deep breath, have a ginger chew, tell myself it's going to be okay, and then get on the
Yes.
plane and relax.
Exactly, exactly. And it's also helpful too. I always make a checklist. And my husband taught me this years ago. He's like, just put a checklist on Excel, or, Word or whatever. And every time before you go on a trip, you just, go through that checklist, passport, chargers, laptop, whatever. And you have all your major documents and everything that's really important. He's like, anything else, like, brush or hair dryer or any whatever, you can always buy that on the other side if you really need it. It's like everything else that can be, you can get that on the other side, but if you forget anything. But I think that making a checklist is really helpful. And I like writing things out anyway. I like making lists. I'm a list person. So I love my checklist and it does help a lot.
I agree. And I don't know about you, but this is one thing that I started doing is there are certain things that I don't actually need in my house. I only need them for travel. So things like my travel pillow, I leave it in my suitcase.
Yeah,
And that way, when I'm ready to start packing, it's already there. It's already with what I need. I keep
exactly.
my little travel cubes inside my suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a few different things that I keep in there. I think I might even have a spare charger in there,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's easier not to forget those things because it's already there.
Right. That's a great idea. I love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, anything we can do to help ourselves, right?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, to make anything to make it easier for sure. I love that idea of keeping things together. Although my suitcases live in my bedroom. They never go, they never get tucked away. But yeah, so I always make sure too that I have those things around in my little laundry bag. I keep that in my carry-on too. Um, Depending how long I'm going to be gone for. But yeah, I've learned too to mix and match. I used to bring all kinds of clothes. The half I never even wear when I get to the other side, right? So over the years, I've learned to like, okay, you know what? The less, the better. I just want to get on a carry-on, and that's it. I don't want to deal with a check-in. Um, and so yeah, I've learned to mix and match clothing and making things last a little bit longer. And usually when we travel, we go with Airbnbs because we really want to immerse ourselves in the culture and live with the locals, um and usually they have washer and dryer, so I know that I can always wash my laundry, do laundry there, so that's really helpful as well. But that's
That's
been
a good idea.
yeah.
That's a good idea. That's kind of like that whole thing that went around on Pinterest for a long time, the capsule wardrobe.
Oh, I
So
never heard of
basically,
that.
yeah, and so basically pack a capsule wardrobe where everything mixes and matches and makes, 15 outfits out of, only a handful of articles of clothing.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, that's
I think it's
really
great,
helpful.
especially if you're doing neutrals or something like that, you have, you know,
Mm-hmm.
three shirts, two different jackets, and
Mm-hmm.
four different pants or a skirt or whatever, but they all mix and match really well. And so that's a great idea. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
even think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And it's been working so well for me. But although, I have a wardrobe in London already, I mean, I just have another wardrobe there because it's usually for colder climate.
Oh, true.
I can leave my summer clothes in San Diego. But until recently, though, this summer London was pretty hot. So there was only a couple things I needed to get, but that was okay. No big deal. I had most of my clothes there already, so that helps in terms of packing light.
Oh, that's really good. Okay, are there any last tips that you would give that I don't think we've covered? I mean, I feel like we've covered it all.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of what your preference is, what you need to have with you. Are there things that you can leave at home that you really don't need? That might just be something that's not, feasible to take on, that can give you more space, more room, more calmness. You don't want to take a whole bunch of things that you really don't need. And just being mindful of your movement during your flights, or road trips, or whatever you're traveling on. Staying hydrated for sure, staying hydrated, having your protein snacks, making sure you're getting plenty of protein, and maybe breath work. If you're having some anxiety, focus in on those breath works. Have listen to your meditations or a podcast around breath work, and that can be very helpful in calming the nerves as well while traveling. Um,
Okay, so before I forget, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I want to bring it up before I forget.
okay.
I turned on Our Serendipity app the other day,
Hmm.
and I had a lovely treat because whose voice did I get to hear? Oh my gosh.
Yes. I
I I I almost cried and I almost laughed. I was so giddy when I got to hear your voice. I was like, "That's my friend."
uh, it's almost kind of weird meditating with me, huh?
I loved it. I loved it. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like
Oh.
maybe we need some mini episodes just so people can listen to you."
Oh my gosh. I had so much fun doing recording those meditations for the app. Our Serendipity is just an amazing app for the autoimmune community, and I'm just so honored that they asked me to record some meditations for their app, because it's such an important. I'm loving their app. There's so many things you can get, recipes, which I've tried a couple of them already, um, and nutrition facts and community support and connections. Everything is there, and I absolutely enjoying it as well. And thank you so much for that. It's been fun. They wanted me to do a little bit, a few more. It's funny, while I was in London, but where we live, I tried recording. I did like three of them, but it took me forever because where we live in East London, it's so loud. It's always something. It's either a car honking outside, or someone slamming or shutting their door in the building, or the overground train going by. And there was always something, and there was no
Oh
safe
wow.
room in our flat where I could record. So it was quite a
Oh
challenge.
man. That would be a challenge. And I don't even know how somebody would do that unless they soundproof,
Right. Right.
my closet is probably the most quiet place in our house. We don't live in a big city or anything,
Uh-huh.
but if you want to get away from, a snoring cat or my air conditioner or whatever, the best place to go is probably my closet. I
Right.
actually debated making, because it's a little walk-in closet. I debated making one tiny little corner of it my desk and everything for the podcast.
That's a good idea. I actually did that this just takes me back, this idea, because in high school I was in photography, and this is okay, I'm dating myself here, but this is before digital stuff, right? So we actually had film, that we had to like
Yes.
ex, produce. So I made my closet at home my dark room, and
That's awesome.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it works. Hey, whatever works. Unfortunately, in our London flat, we don't have walk-in closets. We have just the wardrobes that,
Oh.
yeah, yeah. Most flats in London don't have walk-in closets.
Well, I am truly, truly spoiled because when we moved here in October, my husband gave me the entire walk-in closet to myself.
Oh, how nice.
So Our other two rooms, we call them his guest room and my guest room.
Okay.
So his guest room has our original bedroom set from way back when our kids were little.
Oh.
And he uses that closet.
Mm-hmm.
And he even has his dresser full of clothes in there. And so that's his guest room. And the guests can sleep in there, but he better get his clothes out first.
Right,
And
right.
and then there's my guest room, which has, a bed also, and it has my desk in there, and that's my little office.
Oh, nice.
But now it also has grandson's toys in there as well, and so it's quite interesting. But I'm spoiled. I
I
think
love it.
sometimes we don't recognize how spoiled we are by the little crazy things a spouse can say or do for us. And
Right.
when they are willing to give you an entire closet to yourself, that is so kind.
Yes. Wow. I love that. Yeah, we have to count our blessings, honey. For sure.
The scary thing is I'm really scared that I'm going to somehow overfill this walk-in closet because there's space to do so.
Oh, yeah. That's the hard part, right? We have, when I came back, and that's another thing, when I come back from my trips, I just get this urge to start purging my closet and getting rid of things that I don't wear anymore or use, for that matter, that I'm holding on to for just no real reason. So I do get to do that. I get a little urge to just start letting go and taking things over to the Goodwill.
I think part of it is too, when you're traveling, you're realizing, oh, I didn't even need to bring any of that stuff. So why am I hanging on to it?
Right.
So,
Exactly.
travel
Yeah.
more just so you recognize you can go home and purge.
Yes. And it feels so good. Something liberating about purging, right? It's just like clearing out the unnecessary, right? Just clearing out your mind too. And it just makes you feel better
Oh,
when
absolutely.
you have
It's a
less
big
things.
release.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. 100%.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, thank you for joining. I'm sure we're going to have you back on before you know it because I just love you and you're fun to talk to.
I love you too. And it's always fun to be here. Yeah, I just absolutely love your podcast, Jen. And thanks again for having me on again. And I look forward to next time.
Absolutely. All right, everyone out there, until next time, don't forget your spoon.
The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only. Consult your own physician for any medical issues that you may be having. The information should not be taken as a replacement for medical, clinical, professional advice, diagnoses, or medical intervention. My Spoonie sisters and guests will not be held liable for any of the consequences of such action or inaction. Trigger warning. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics including, but not limited to, suicide, abuse, mental illness, and chronic disease. You are advised to refrain from listening if you are likely to be offended or adversely impacted by any of these topics. None of the guests or hosts will be responsible for your use of the information contained therein. Life is not merely to be alive, but to be well. Living a life with a chronic illness is best described with one word: unpredictable. Be Well's products are designed to make the unpredictable easier to deal with. Back when I was getting my infusions, I would have loved to have their adult zip hoodie. They even have one in pink. They also have everything from one-day pill holders to urgency buckets. So remember, they want to make your life a little easier. So be sure to check out Be Well.